Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about not actually a single book, but in an entire series. And that series is the Elizabeth Peters series. Elizabeth Peters is author, and the series title is the Amelia Peabody Series. This is a cozy mystery series, and what cozy mystery means, that's the genre. Cozy mystery would be for people who like mysteries but aren't into like graphic violence or a lot of sex or explicit sex or a lot of language. They just want a nice easy read and with a good mystery, but not any grittiness. There's no grittiness in cozy mysteries. So this series falls firmly in this subgenre of cozy mysteries. The first book is Crocodile on the Sandbank. There you go. Again, by Elizabeth Peters. There's 20 books in the series, so if you end up liking it, there's a lot to sink your teeth into. You're going to have lots of books to enjoy. They are they're all easy reads. None of them are very long or intense. And the series follows Amelia Peabody, whom the series is named after. She is a British spinster. The books start in the 1880s. I can't remember what year specifically, but the 1880s. Her father dies and leaves her a mild fortune. So she decides she's going to go and see the world and ends up finding herself in Egypt, and where she falls in love with Egyptology and archaeology. And the series follows her as she goes every year during the archaeological season to excavate something new. And to quote one of the characters, every year is a new dead body. Another year, another dead body is what Abdullah always says. And so every year she finds a dead body and sleuths her way to the end of the book. So these books are, pacing-wise, I would say they're kind of medium-paced. There's a lot of description. The author actually has a degree in Egyptology, or had. She's passed now, but had a degree in Egyptology, has been to Egypt several times, is extremely knowledgeable on the subject. So there's a lot of description on Egypt and the things that are being excavated, and they're all very intensely detailed, and I personally feel like that adds a lot to the book. I enjoy Egypt and Egyptology, so I find that really interesting. If you are not interested, the mystery part, I don't know if the mystery part is going to be enough for you. There is definitely mystery throughout the books, but a lot of the focus is on describing the excavations. It's not very technical, so, it's not like you're reading an Isaac Asimov book or something, but it is enough that you get a really good feel for what it is that they're doing. So it moves along quickly, but it's not action-packed, if that makes sense. There's a lot of dialogue and a lot of interaction, but there's still a decent amount of description and world building. So I would say the pacing is like medium. There are longer chapters in it. So if you're someone who likes to just read a little bit before bed, you're going to have to go to bed a little bit earlier to get in this a good chapter. There is mostly a straightforward plot line. The later books start incorporating multiple points of view. So you'll have some chapters from Amelia's point of view and some chapters from other people's points of view. And I don't want to give anything away, but it does get a little more complex the further along you go in the series. The characterization is done in a really great way. You just follow Amelia along in her life. She kind of starts off saying, here's who I am, here's what my life has been like, in 2 paragraphs or whatever. And the next 20 books are just you following her along in her life. So the characters are kind of slowly revealed just because they're not trying to actually reveal themselves. You're just along for the ride as they live their lives. And I feel like that's really great because they don't spend a lot of time really developing the characters. You don't get really bogged down with that. But at the same time, you're with these people for 25 years of their lives. So you feel like you know them really well by the end of the series. So it's a really good balance of, there's a lot of character development, but it's not done, it just happens. It's not done intentionally, if that makes sense. Characters are very quirky, very quirky. So in a humorous way, like they're supposed to be quirky and you're supposed to just kind of laugh at them, and they laugh at themselves. And that helps you kind of identify with them, even though they're really like super eccentric. You identify with them because they get that they're eccentric and just kind of make fun of themselves for it sometimes. And then sometimes they're like, why are people laughing at us? I don't understand. But I feel like we've all had situations like that in our lives where we're like, I totally get that I'm being eccentric here. And then there are other times where you're like, why are you snickering? I don't understand. So you are expected to kind of identify with these characters. And with a series, I feel like that's really important, because if you don't identify with them, you're not going to want to spend 20 books reading about them. So that is kind of a key feature of, if you're just in a book for like the action and what's going on, these will probably be really slow for you. But if you're in it because you like quirky characters and the situations they kind of find themselves in, then this would be a really good book. The storyline emphasizes Amelia. It focuses on her. And there are a lot of really random situations she gets herself into. So there is a lot of like action, but it's like incidental. She just finds herself in these as you follow her along. There are two levels to the storyline. There's the mystery, which is mentioned periodically throughout the whole book. And then there's Egyptology and whatever excavation they're working on, which is, it's interesting because like these are mystery books. So the mystery is the point of the book, but the mystery is like, when you're actually reading the mystery, is kind of incidental to the Egyptology. So if you're really, really like, I need a solid mystery where the entire time I'm like, what is going on? These might not be the books for you. But if you enjoy someone going about their life and also sleuthing at the same time, that's what's going on. Her life is Egyptology, and that is a big focus of the book. But the mysteries happen too. So it's kind of multiple level plot line. For the frame and tone, the frame is Egypt in, like I said, the series starts in, I want to say it's like the 1880s, and it goes through like 1920-ish. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it definitely goes through World War I, and that's addressed in a couple of books, and then beyond that, some. So like late 1910s, maybe into 1920. So that the frame is Egypt / England. She's in England for some of the books, or parts of some of the books, and then Egypt for the others, and that time frame. The tone is hilarious. The books are very humorous. They're sort of satirical. You'll have several of the books have prologues that are from the editor, the fictitious editor who is compiling Amelia's not novels, but her memoirs, and it talks about all the like factual errors and contradictions that are in them. And so to read these with a grain of salt. So before you even start the book, it's like, we're presenting this like it really happened, but the character, the person, the lady that wrote this totally was crazy. So it's satirical in the fact that it like makes fun of itself. It's not satirical in the fact that it's supposed to be like satire about society. So if it's very whimsical, it's upbeat, it's heartwarming. There's a good mystery in it. You learn a little bit about ancient Egyptian culture. So that's the tones. Oh, and there's also, in some of the books, a little romance. So if you like that, it's definitely not a focus of the books, but she throws a little in just to keep it interesting from time to time. So, yeah. So if any of that sounded interesting to you, I highly, highly recommend these books. The first one is, again, it's Crocodile on the Sandbank. Let me just pull that up for you real quick. Crocodile on the Sandbank by Elizabeth Peters. If you are interested in audiobooks, I am a big fan of audiobooks. Listen to them all the time. The narrator, there's two different narrations. I'm not sure who the other one is, but Barbara Rosenblatt does them. Make sure to get the ones with Barbara Rosenblatt. She is amazing. Probably my favorite narrator of all time. So good. You can get all of the books. Well, I mean, I can't say where you are, what kind of library system you're at, but all of the books exist narrated by Barbara Rosenblatt, all 20 of them. And she just does a phenomenal job. So if you're into audiobooks, this is a series I highly, highly recommend. If you are living in the Western Washington, Puget Sound area, King County Library has a lot of them that you can just download straight to your phone and listen to. So super convenient. I highly recommend. I mean, they're good to read too, but if you're an audiobook person, like I highly, highly recommend these as something to listen to. So yeah, that was our first series. It's the Amelia Peabody series by Elizabeth. Yeah, the Amelia Peabody series by Elizabeth Peters. And again, there's 20 books. They're really I'm only going to be reviewing books I enjoyed. So these are really good books for me. And if the things I just talked about are something that you like, I think you'll enjoy these. So, all right, happy reading, and until next time.